Words and how we communicate can be so divisive, but through art, it can blur the lines. And the reason why is because people can see the emotion behind the work and how that's an emotion that they've had before. I always thought about my pottery wheel as being a machine that has infinite possibilities. And I always think about like how I could elevate its meaning and function beyond how people have used it before. Working in clay is used to tell stories of other communities throughout history and how in many ways what I'm doing is very traditional. But the only thing that's not traditional about it is like who gets to be on these stories. And it's a big missing element to what's found in museums. We can see what a pattern looks like from Spain, a blue and white tile. We can see orange and black in Greek pottery. But what does a pattern look like from the ghetto in Philadelphia? And so I'm telling stories like the very common image of Madonna and Child, and doing that through a picture of my mother and I. In this portrait, you have this young boy, which is me, and he has a ski mask on. And you know, the idea behind that is how so many people will look at young people of color as destined for crime. And so we're treated that way. My work tends to like expose a lot of those things by using art history as a catalyst. So with God Complex, I painted the interior of the gallery space with graffiti and then featured some people that I felt like were really inspirational. Art is often relegated to the people who can afford to curate what gets exhibited. But then when you give someone like me the opportunity to curate or exhibit something, how we can illustrate a much more complicated history narrative. And so for me, it was really important to have both of those worlds exist in the same space. At Grounds for Sculpture, I had a piece called Put Yourself in the Picture. And I've always had this dream of making a pot that was big enough for people to be able to put themselves inside of. There's so many people that are heroes that, you know, put their sleeves up every single day and get involved to make this world a better place. And I really wanted a place for them to be able to put themselves in that frame and be able to see themselves reflected in a historical way. And so when I think about how pottery can kill hate, I think quite a bit about how the stories that I'm telling normalize the experiences of my people. When people can see how normal it is to be a person of color and to grow up where I did, they're less likely to hate on them and less likely to oppress them. You know, I think art has the capacity to do that, where we can empathize with each other rather than seeing each other as like the opposition. We can think to ourselves, how can we participate in a better world? And so for me, teaching and working with other people and helping to find their voice is really central to just my whole existence and what it is that I want to do as a person.